Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Chapter 1 Read Alouds. Today, I am going to be reading a chapter from the book Part of Your World, which is one of the Twisted Tales. For those of you who don't know what the Twisted Tales are, there are a variety of different books labeled under this series name, and they are all different Disney characters as if something went different in their story. So, for example, Conceal Don't Feel is if Anna and Elsa had never actually known each other. There's one with the Beast and Belle called As Old as Time. So what if Belle never broke the curse on the Beast? Things like that. So there are plenty of ones. The newest one coming out is Go the Distance, and that is about Hercules. So it gives you another kind of angle on the story. It changes something about the story. This particular one is what if Ariel had never defeated Ursula? It's been 5 years since the infamous sea witch defeated the Little Mermaid and took King Triton's life in the process. Ariel is now the voiceless queen of Atlantica, while Ursula runs Prince Eric's kingdom on land. But when Ariel discovers that her father might still be alive, she finds herself returning to a world and a prince she never imagined she would see again. So this particular book, like many of the Twisted Tales, has a prologue. So I'm actually going to read you the prologue and then the very short first chapter. Okay, so here we go. Part of Your World. In the foothills of the Iberian Mountains, Ka Veswo was in the field repairing a wooden fence. It was less to keep the wolves out than to keep the stupid sheep in, where the only slightly smarter child shepherds could watch them. It was a beautiful day, almost sparkling. The pines weren't yet brittle from late summer heat, and the deciduous trees were in full glory, their dark green leaves crackling in the wind. The mountains were dressed in mid-season blooms and tinkly little waterfalls. The clouds in the sky were ridiculously puffy. The only off note in nature's symphony was a strange stink when the wind came up from the southern lowlands, burning animal fat, or garbage, or rot. Everyone in the hamlet was out doing chores in such forgiving weather, rebuilding grapevine trellises, chopping wood, cleaning out the cheese barrels. No one was quarreling yet, and life on their remote hillside seemed good. When Ka saw something unlikely come up in the old road, the King's Road, it was a phalanx of soldiers marching in a surprisingly solid and orderly fashion, considering how far they were from whatever capital they had come. With their plumes, their buttons that shone like tiny golden suns, and their surprisingly clean jackets, there was almost a parade-like air around them, if not for their grim, haughty looks and the strange flag they flew. An order was cried. The men stopped. The captain, resplendent in a bright blue cap and jacket, rode up to Ka along with his one other mounted soldier who carried their flag. Peasant, he called out, somewhat rudely. Ka thought, is this the township of Sierra? No, the farmer started to say, then remembered long forgotten rules for dealing with people who had shiny buttons, big hats, and guns. Begging your pardon, sir, but that's farther along on the other side of Devil's Pass. People call this Adam's Rock. No matter, the captain said. We claim this village and its surrounding lands in the name of Terulia. He cried out the last bit, but the words bounced and drifted and faded into nothing against the giant mountains beyond. The dusty fields below, the occasional olive tree, the uninterested cow, villagers stopped their work and drifted over to see what was going on. Begging your pardon, sir, again, Ka said politely, but we're considered part of and pay our taxes to Alamber. Whatever your situation was before, you are now citizens of Terulia and pay homage to Prince Eric and Princess Vanessa. Well, I don't know how the King of Alamber will take it. That's no concern of yours, the captain said frostily. Soon the King of Alamber will just be a memory, and all Alamber a mere province to the great Terulian Empire. You say Terulia, Ka mused, leaning on the fence to make his statement sound casual. We know it. We buy their salted cod and trade our cheese with them. Their girls like to wear aprons with braided ties. Purdy, son of Javier, sought his fortune down south on a fishing ship and wound up marrying a local girl there. Fascinating, the captain said, removing one hand from his tight grip on the reins to fix his mustache. And what is the point of all this? Ka pointed at the banner that flipped in the breeze. That's not the flag of Terulia. In place of the sun and sea and ship on a field of blue was a familiar even to those isolated people. There was a stark white background on which a black tentacled octopus with no eyes gibbered menacingly. It looked almost alive, ready to grab whatever came too close. Princess Vanessa thought it was time to update the sigil of House Cherulia, the captain said a little defensively. We still represent Cherulia and the interests of Prince Eric, acting for his father, the king, and his mother, the queen. I see. Another villager started to speak up, but Kaa put a hand on his arm to stop him. Well, what can we do then? You have guns, we have them too, to hunt with, but they are put away until the boars come down from the oak forest again. So, as long as the right tax man comes around and we don't wind up paying twice, sure, we're part of Cherulia now, as you say. The captain blinked. He narrowed his eyes at Kaa, expecting a trick. The farmer regarded him mildly back. You have chosen a wise course, peasant, the captain finally said. All hail Cherulia. The folk of Adams Rock murmured a ragtag and unenthusiastic response. All hail Cherulia. We shall be back through this way again after we subdue Sierra. Prepare your finest quarters for us after our triumph over them and all of Elamber. And with that, the captain shouted something unintelligible and militaristic and trotted off, the flag bearer quickly catching up. As soon as they were out of earshot, Kaa shook his head wearily. Call a meeting, he sighed. Pass the word around. We need to gather the girls and send them off into the hills for mushroom gathering or whatever for several weeks. All the military-aged boys should go into the wild with the sheep or to hunt. Also, everyone should probably bury whatever gold or valuables they have someplace that won't be found. But why did you just give in to him? The man next to Kaa demanded. We could have sent word to Elamber. If we just told the soldiers no, we wouldn't have to do any of this. Acting like cowards and sending our children away into safety. I did it because I could smell the wind. Can't you? Kaa answered, nodding toward the south. Just beyond the next ridge, where the Vermilion Mountains began to smooth out toward the lowlands, a column of smoke rose. It was wider and more turbulent than what would come from a bonfire, black and ashy and ugly as sin. Garhagio? Someone asked incredulously. It did indeed look like the smoke was coming from there. From the volume and blackness, there could have only been scorched earth and embers where that village had been just the day before. I bet they told the captain no. Kaa said, such causeless destruction, a woman lamented. What terrible people this Prince Eric and Princess Vanessa must be. All right, so this is technically chapter 1, Eric. Eric woke up. He was having that dream again. It came to him at the strangest times, when reviewing the menu for a formal dinner with Chef Louis, for instance, or listening to the castle treasurers discuss the ups and downs of dealing with international bankers, or when his beautiful princess went on and on about her little intrigues. All right, it was when he was bored and tired, if a room was stuffy and he was sleepy and could barely keep his eyes open. Or right before he fell asleep properly in bed, that moment between still being awake and deep in dreams. The same split second where he often heard angelic choirs singing unimaginable, beautiful hymns. He could only listen, too frozen in half sleep to jump up and quickly scribble it down before he forgot. But sometimes, instead of the chores, he had this. That he was not Prince Eric, wed to Vanessa, the beautiful princess. That there had been some terrible mistake. That there was another girl, a beautiful girl with no voice, who could sing. No, there was a beautiful girl who could sing, who somehow lost her voice forever on the terrible day when Eric fell asleep. He had been dreaming ever since. There were mermaids in this other world. He had known one. Her father was a god. Eric's princess was an evil witch. And Eric had touched greatness but been tricked. And now here he was, dreaming. He looked down suddenly in a panic. His arms were crossed on his desk over pages of musical notation, supporting his dozing head. Had he spilled any ink? Had he blurred any notes? A rest would be tuned into a tie if the ink smeared that way, and that would ruin everything. He held the papers up to the moonlight. There was a little smudging there, right where the chorus was supposed to come with a D major triad. But it wasn't so bad. His eyes drifted from the pages to the moon, which shone clearly through his unglazed window. A bright star kept it company. A faint breeze blew, causing the thick leaves of the trees below to make shoe-like clacking noises against the castle wall. It carried with it whatever scents it had picked up on its way from the sea. Sandalwood, sand, orange, dust, dry things, stuff off the land. Eric looked back at his music, tried to recapture the sound and feel the ocean that had played in his head before waking, aquamarine and sweet. Then he dipped his pen in ink and began to scribble madly, refusing to rest until the sun came up. So that was the prologue plus chapter 1, little bonus of Part of Your World, which is one of the twisted tales. For more, definitely check out the entire book from the library at the 500 building or at the middle school. Otherwise, see you next time on Chapter 1 Read Aloud.